So I'm Eloise Malone, I'm the director of Effervescent. We're a social enterprise. We're a cultural engagement laboratory. So what we do is we research how cultural engagement changes things for people, and also how different methodologies of cultural engagement can change the arts sector and the culture sector. So that's what we do. I guess our mission in doing that is we are trying to make the world a happier and kinder place for people, and that's really what we're passionate about. We're based in Radiant Gallery, which is in the centre of Plymouth, in the West End, which is an area that's quite a little bit run down, a little bit unloved. And what we have here is a cultural hub. So it's a space where we have young emerging practitioners who are developing their new businesses as photographers, as interactive program designers, as dancers, as festival programmers. We also have an art gallery which is curated by children and young people. It's a professional gallery, so it shows professional work, but it's curated by young people who haven't really had the best times in life or have had real trauma and difficulty. And what they do is they put shows together that enables them to say something they haven't been able to say before, but also other people in the world to maybe know something they didn't know before, or maybe to hear that someone else has something similar, and that they have shared ground with other people that maybe they didn't know they had shared ground with. We also run Rumpus Cozy, which is where I am now, and this is a bistro. It's a kind of vintage bistro. We specialise in tea, but also over the 8 months that we've been open, we've spread from tea to cake to lunch, and in the last month we've started doing supper and Sunday roasts. So we've been growing quite fast, and since we started with one person in June 2014, we've now got 7 full-time staff in Rumpus Cozy, and Effervescent has grown from 1 full-time staff member to 3 in a year. So basically I manage 2 companies at the same time, both social enterprises, and between them we have 10 staff. The inspiration for Effervescent, which started first, was very much about trying to change things through culture, and it was about wanting to make things better and to give people a voice and to give services like health and criminal justice and education a different way of achieving their aims, and a different way to reach people and to engage people who might be their client groups, might be people who ought to be their client groups but were intimidated by them, for example mental health, people who didn't want to refer into mental health services. We work with education, but also we work with museums and the National Trust to help them reach people who don't traditionally engage with them. So the inspiration for Effervescent, when we started 10 years ago, we've always been one of those companies that's kind of doing things on the edge of known practice, which has been a real struggle and has been really difficult for us, but has also been lots of fun, because when no one knows what it is you should be doing, you can kind of fiddle around with it a little bit and kind of find out what you like about it. So where we started is we wanted to make the world better, especially for children and young people, because we understood that a lot of the children we worked with faced structural disadvantages, but also trauma and sadness, and they didn't have a voice and they didn't have a way to say anything, and they were cut out of culture and drama and projects and music projects and what have you, because they didn't feel they could belong and they were considered too much of a problem to take part in mainstream things. So what we do is we design projects and programs that made those young people feel more confident, make them feel more loved and wanted and more able to own what they've been through, so that rather than that thing having a hold on them, they could have a hold on that thing and they could do something positive for other young people with it. We found by doing that we'd also end up training nurses and teachers and social workers to feel better about themselves too, and to move away a little bit from that kind of grind of procedure and more into getting back into why they really love the profession. So to be more playful and innovative, and just have a different relationship with those client groups, and it enabled them to take more risks in their own professional practice. So much so that loads of the professionals we worked with over the last 10 years have got promoted just after working with us, because they found a voice and they felt more confident in meetings about going, actually this. And they sort of developed that kind of, they re-engaged that critical thinking, which is so important when you're working in really difficult, demanding circumstances and fields of work. So that's what we do. The inspiration was making things better, making things happier. Recently, we've taken on Radiance and turned it into an art gallery. And our inspiration has been about communicating and reaching people that we couldn't reach digitally. So although we've been doing a lot of live performance and doing a lot of work digitally, like in film and social marketing campaigns and things like this, we really wanted some instantaneous feedback. So we opened an art gallery that's kind of full of windows as a kind of big greenhouse, so that we could play much more with just people on the street rather than professionals. Rumpus Cozy, the inspiration for that has been very much about giving people somewhere where they feel nurtured and loved, and they can have access to really nice food and just sit and read the paper. And in the last few weeks even, people have said to us things like, especially over winter, what I really like about Rumpus Cozy is you can kind of sit here and snuggle up on a sofa and wrap yourself in one of the furs and drink a cup of tea for an hour, and that's okay. You don't feel pressured to do anything in particular. You just feel like fun things are happening. You can just watch the world go by and feel loved. So that's really our inspiration, and I guess the point at which we knew we wanted to be a social enterprise and not a private company has been very much, I guess, because this sounds slightly, I think this sounds kind of a bit weird, but I think for me, what I do is who I am. So the company reflects me as the founder, in that I want people to be happy and I want things to be nice, and I hate misery and I hate people being sad, and I want to make things better. And so I think to make a profit out of that would be quite odd. So inevitably, it's a social enterprise, it feeds back in, and we use the profit and the surpluses that we generate year on year to do ever more difficult and kind of experimental work. So we're working on a thing at the moment which I can't really tell you too much about because it's a secret, but it's with a major national charity, and it's about seeing children who are becoming very, very vulnerable, but seeing that 3, 4, 5, 6 years ahead of when it really gets awful for them, and actually trying to predict who those children are and make things better then. And the beautiful thing about it is, because of the way we work through arts and culture and loveliness, that even if those children weren't necessarily on that path to horribleness, for sure, we would know that we've made their lives nicer anyway. So it's kind of like scrumming us all down, very happy in all directions at once. So we've been going for 10 years, and we've done, I'm really proud to have survived 10 years actually in our field, and we started with nothing. I had a laptop which I got on credit cards. I didn't have any other investment at all. And one of the sort of perennial challenges of what we do, and this is a bit complicated, but I think it's really truthful for social enterprises, is that sometimes the people who are buying your products are actually parting with the money, and not necessarily the people it's benefiting. So I do a lot of work on behalf of big children's charities, or funded by things like wonderful BBC Children in Need or Big Lottery. And the people giving us the money, you have to talk to them about what you're doing and make them believe in you, and that you have the credibility and the skill and the expertise to be safe and keep their brand safe and do something that's valuable and is what they actually meant to do. But there's a whole other market that you're attracting, which is the people who will come and actually play with you and roll around on the studio floor with you and give bits of themselves to your cultural process or to your film process or to whatever you're doing in order to make things better for other people and for themselves. So when you're marketing that provides a really interesting set of challenges, because you are selling different things to different people. When you're working with young people and children, you're selling them a good time. Put your faith in me, give me your time, and I will make things feel nicer in your world, and we will have fun, and you won't feel awful, and you won't be teased, and you won't be bullied like maybe you have everywhere else. It will be a laugh, it will be fun, and when you make a piece of work at the end, whether that's theatre or underwater choreography or a film or an art gallery show, my promise to you, what I'm offering you, is a chance to make something that you feel genuinely proud of, and it feels authentic and truthful and honest. So that's one set of audiences that I'm trying to make believe in what is on offer, product. But also there's the experts, the social workers and nurses and education professionals and museums professionals and the people who hold the money, who also have to believe that even though those young people are having an amazing time and are rolling around and having a laugh and are having a really amusing time, and they're turning up for it every day when they don't turn up for other things every day, that they're still getting something really beneficial and good for them, and a qualification and accreditation and a step towards their future lives, and that all of that is safe. So if they're hanging off the ceiling, because I'm an aerial acrobat with me, that they're going to be safe hanging off the ceiling, or if they're dancing on stilts, that they're not going to break their legs and make that commissioner or that museum professional look like they didn't care enough or didn't carefully look at health and safety aspects. So that's just two people. Then there's the parents and family and friends of the children you're working with, and their relationship to the work. Are you doing something which they can relate to, that they feel proud that their child did, that makes them feel good about their child and pleased, and maybe gives them a different way of relating to a child that maybe they've had trouble with, because everyone has trouble with their child at some point. So there are all kinds of interesting markets, and when you do something like this, you have to think really carefully about where those segments are and what's the best way to reach those people and what those people really want and need, and that none of those undermine the other bits of your market. So it's complex, and I guess the way we've done it is I spend a lot of time talking to professionals face to face, so that I can answer their questions, I can relate to them. So if they're social workers, they might talk about social work theories and kind of policies and practices, and I can reassure them that I speak that language too, and I know what they mean, and I am of their world. But on my website, what you see is lovely people having fun, looking cool, looking sexy, because in the end, you're going to give up 3, 4, 5 weeks of your life and put your self-esteem and credibility on the line to work with someone. You want to know that they know what good looks like. And so that's how we do it. We have completely different platforms to reach, completely different bits of the market. One size does not fit all, much of the time. So, top tips. These are some things that I've gleaned along the way. I think the most important thing is stick to what you know and be who you are, and be honest and authentic in what you're doing. People really respond to passion and they respond to authenticity, and it's okay to say, well, I'm really new at this, but I'm having a go. Would you like to get involved? Can I help you? Can you help me? It's okay. You don't. Sometimes when you start a business, you think you've got to pretend that you're really, really amazing at everything. And I've started a few businesses, and some of them I've abandoned because I wasn't in the right place at the right time or what have you. But what I did know is when I spoke to other people and I'd say, God, this is hard, at like wedding shows and things, they go, oh yeah, we're just pretending we're really confident as well, actually. This is terrifying. So the thing you should know is it's normal to be terrified when you start your own business, and it is scary, and everyone else is scared as well, and that's normal. The other thing I'd say is don't expect to be perfect. Don't expect to start something that's stellar immediately. Look carefully at what you're doing, keep thinking about it, keep getting a little bit better all the time, and really take note of how things are going. And if it's not quite working, think of what is working and kind of go with that bit. Don't try and do everything if what you've got is an amazing thing just here. Don't worry about that bit, do this bit and keep developing it. And then finally, I just say, ask for help. The thing I learned most about redeveloping a 6,500 square foot abandoned bank with only £5,000 that someone really begrudgingly gave me was that people are genuinely lovely and nice and kind if you just let them know what they can do to help. And people are just amazing and generous. You just have to let them know that you'd quite like some help, just to ask for it. And don't be scared to say, I'm doing this, but I'm not a business person, or I'm doing this, but this bit isn't my expertise. Just be honest and have fun with it. Yeah, that's the final thing. Have fun. Don't do anything that makes you miserable. There's no point. Just be happy.